Hello everybody and welcome to another video on my channel. I want to talk today about a specific word, and this word, each and every one of us has a perception and a worldview of this specific word, and depending on what you've experienced with this word is where you're going to stand. And the word I'm going to talk to you about today, I'll just get straight to the point, is hope. And I want you to really look at what is going on in your heart and what's going on in your mind when you hear the word hope. Is it something that you're like, oh no, not again, not another time I hear the word hope, not another time somebody's going to talk to me about having hope in something, or is it like, man, I love hope. I'm all about hope. It's the best thing ever. So just pay attention to what you're feeling when you hear the word hope and why. Why are you feeling that way? So I really want to talk about this. I'm super excited to talk about this because the Lord broke some glass this morning for me personally. And I have a couple things that I need. I have a couple things that I need. I've always had things that I need growing up. I've never really put my hope into things that I want. I've more so put my hope into things that I needed. So there were a couple times that I put my hope into something that I want, but mostly it's just things that I need. And so, throughout my life, I've always had something that I needed. I've always lacked something. And so for me personally, whenever the word hope came up, or the topic of hope came up, I felt like a cringe in my soul, and I felt like a really disgust toward that word because I'd never liked it. And why? The Lord asked me, why, Joshua, why do you not like the word hope? And I realized it's because every single time it failed. It failed every single time. Why? He asked me again. Why did it fail every single time? And I realized it's because I put my hope into things that don't last, things that aren't eternal. And here's the thing, right? So as a Christian, this is super deceptive. You can be so deceived into this. You might be under the same thing here. So this is why I felt like sharing it, because as a Christian, I always thought my hope was in God. I would pray. I would go to prayer and I'd say, Lord, I thank you for things that you've given me, but I pray that you give me a car. I really need a car. I need these things for my business. I need this and that. And throughout every single time something would come by, there was a competition for my business that I entered my business into, and I asked the Lord, if it's your will, please give me this competition, the prize. Give me the prize so that I can run my business smoothly and everything. And I deceived myself thinking my hope was in God, but my hope was never in God. My hope was in the item, receiving the item every single time. The avenue which I used was just God. So God was really just I was just using him as an avenue to get to what I really was putting my hope into. And so the deception is there that, I'm praying to God, so my hope is in God, but it's not. Because here's why, okay? In Psalms it says, young lions suffer hunger, but lack no good thing. No, sorry, excuse me. Young lions suffer hunger, but those who wait upon the Lord will lack no good thing. And so I always thought maybe this means, I understood this wrong the entire time. I thought, okay, I just need to look for the Lord and wait for the Lord, and he'll give me the desires of my heart and the things that I want. While that may be true, and in some cases, God does give us things that we do want, and he's a good father. He does give us gifts and things. In this scenario, he was talking about not lacking any good thing meant him. It meant he was the good thing. And so in the midst of trial, in the midst of trouble, in the midst of lack, in the midst of really anything, you're not lacking anything. You have everything you need. You have everything that fills you up. So we go to these things, these other things, and we use God as the avenue to get to those things. And then we're like, well, my hope's in God, but it's not. And then really what we're doing is we're putting our hope into other things that we think are going to bring us a little bit of relief or joy or help. Because in my mind, having a car, I thought, man, it would bring me so much relief to have a car and to be able to go places and stuff. But that relief is supposed to be eternal. It's supposed to come from God. That relief, that every single day you're supposed to be at peace and at joy and have not necessarily always joy, because sometimes we go through hard times, but you're supposed to have a peace with God and be content with Him. And because with Him, you never lack anything. And so that really, like, think about this. Psalms 23:1, the Lord is my shepherd. I lack no good thing. I lack nothing. David said this. And then in the midst of, it says later on in Psalm 23, it says, the Lord is, He places a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And so that paints a picture for you that no matter what circumstance you're in, you lack nothing. You have Him. You have the ultimate fulfillment that can bring you peace, that can bring you the thing that you're looking for in a car or other things that you're really looking for. So it's deceptive. It's very deceptive. It's masked. And so, I think in one of the parables Jesus spoke about, this is a great parable that He's used for me recently to get out of this mindset of putting my mind on things. This is a place where you can measure yourself and where you're at with the Lord, and you can read this parable and ask Him where you're at. And when I asked him a couple of years ago, I'm going to be honest, two and a half years ago, I asked him where I was at, and it was deceitfulness of riches. It was the thorns and thistles. So the parable is the parable of the sower. If you're looking for it, go read it. Highly encourage you to read it, because you can measure where you're at with the Lord. Because He is the Word, right? And He speaks to us. And so what is happening to you when He speaks to you? When you read the Word, does it just go in and out? Or do you get excited at first and then when trial comes, does it go away? Or is your mind constantly on things that you want, like having a car or a house or getting married or things like that, things that are natural, that may not be evil, but can be. It can be. It can be thorns and thistles. And so that's what the Lord showed me. I was in the thorns and thistles for over 2 years. And for 2 years, I was there. And, I'll tell you the dream. I had a dream where I would go to a dump site. And this dump site, I knew it was mine. I would go to this dump site and I'd look for treasure. Anything of value that I could go sell and then be okay for the next week or the month or whatever. And that would be my regular routine. But at this dump site, there were a bunch of thorns that kept pricking me every single time. I got so fed up of those thorns that I said to myself, I'm never coming back to this dump site again. And then later in the dream, there was a guy that said, hey, I have this massive bulldozer. I'll pay you to come help me clean this out. And of course, that man represented Jesus and the Lord, and wanting to clean out that dump site of worries of this life, the deceitfulness of riches, the deceitfulness of life. It talks about it in the parable. And so, is your hope in the deceitfulness of riches, in the deceitfulness and worries of life? Is your hope there, or is it really in God? Are you just using God as an avenue to put your hope in those things? And that might be why you don't like the word hope, because it keeps failing, because God cares for you. He doesn't want you to have those things, because He wants your hope to be in him and to fulfill you that way. He wants to give you eternal fulfillment, eternal hope. And so, yeah, I hope that this video spoke to you in some way and maybe woke something up in you. But yeah, go read the parable of the sower and